she was the teen taken from her bed while her family slept. Her story made headlines for months, and it's a hard one to forget.
Every parent's worst nightmare.
14-year-old Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped from her home. Police in Salt Lake City say they have hundreds of leads in the kidnapping of 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart.
Of course, I wanted to be rescued, but I'd spent the last 9 months being very abused emotionally and sexually and mentally.
I asked her, "Are you Elizabeth Smart?" She says, "Thou say."
15-year-old Elizabeth Smart was found alive today.
That was 20 years ago, if you can believe it. Today, Elizabeth is an advocate for abducted children, and she's producing other survivors' stories. Her latest project is about Kara Robinson, a woman who was kidnapped from her friend's front yard in broad daylight as a teen. So to discuss this new project, please welcome to DBL Elizabeth Smart. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Elizabeth, I have read everything you've written. I think you're an amazingly brave human, and to be okay and to advocate for others is just, you should be very proud of yourself. I wanted to ask you, what drew you to Kara's specific story, and why was it important for you to be an executive producer on this Lifetime movie?
I met Kara a number of years ago, and we just immediately clicked. We immediately became friends, and I felt, if you can believe it, safe talking to her because I knew she understood what I'd been through. And I think she reciprocated the feeling. I think she felt that I understood what she had been through. And I knew that both of us going back down into our pasts wouldn't cause undue trauma to us moving forward. And as we maintained our friendship over the years, she told me that she wanted to take her story to the next level, that she wanted to share it on a larger scale because she just met so many other survivors that had an impact on her, and she felt like she wanted to do the same. And so I connected her with the same production company that did my story, and that was really important to me. And I knew I could trust them because they allowed me a say along every step of the way. I mean, I really do feel a level of ownership over my own story, and I wanted the same thing for Kara because so often when a story is shared, you don't have direct input from the survivor or from the victim. I mean, it's as that producer sees it or as that network sees it. So having really that victim survivor input is something that honestly everyone should be striving for.
Something that I wanted to ask you, when police found you, they put you in handcuffs, and you say it's because there was no precedent, right? Or any sort of practice back then. Have things changed in your opinion?
I mean, honestly, that was my best guess. I genuinely don't think there was a precedent. I don't think anyone thought I would ever come home. I don't think anyone thought I was alive. So I certainly hope that things have changed. I mean, I've not experienced it firsthand again since that time, but I do know there is so much trauma training available, the way that we speak to victims, the way that we interact with them. It makes such a huge impact on them moving forward, on how they proceed in their life. And if they feel comfortable enough to talk to whoever is questioning them.
Wow. Well, listen, we have so many questions for you. Stay with us because after the break, we're going to chat more with Elizabeth about the sisterhood she's created with Kara and what she teaches her kids about her own story.
Are your parents home?
This is my friend's house.
Ripped from the headlines.
Kara's gone missing. Somebody must have taken her.
Based on a true story.
Wait.
Now, Kara, there are rules. And when you break the rules, there are consequences.
Escape.
Wow, welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from Lifetime's new movie, The Girl Who Escaped, the Kara Robinson story. Kidnapping survivor Elizabeth Smart is an executive producer on the film, and we're continuing our conversation with her about this new project. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sticking with us.
Yes. So tell us about the sisterhood that you created with Kara.
Kara is just an incredible human being. She is so strong, and she has decided to really put purpose to her pain because what she went through was extreme trauma. What she went through was a nightmare, was horrific, and yet she wants to go on with her life and to really make it her life's work to try to change the perspective, change culture, try to help victims and survivors feel safe, feel like they can talk about what happened to them without feeling exploited or shamed or guilt in any way. I mean, she's a hero.
I'm sorry, full disclosure, during the commercial break, we've been talking about how strong you are. And, you know, this March will mark 20 years since you came home. I have to ask, as a parent of 3, as you are, how do you even begin to talk to your kids about what happened to you, and what lessons do you try to teach them?
Well, honestly, like, there are people who have been parents much longer than I am, so I am open to suggestions. 100%.
We're all winging it, trust me.
But I feel like the best advice I've gotten so far is to talk to your kids when they start asking questions. That's led to some already conversations I wish I did not have to have with my children, but I feel like that actually is really good advice, even if it's difficult to carry out.
It's unbelievable talking to you. I remember, I can't believe it's been 20 years, when you were doing that press conference, how strong you were and articulate and talking about what happened, and you're smiling right now. I don't know if I could do that. The human mind fascinates me. The trauma that you went through. People, when they're put in prison for 50 years, come out positive on the other side, even though they're wrongfully accused. So processing this trauma is a lifelong thing. What has been the hardest thing for you as the years go by? How do you stay positive?
Well, I think the hardest thing is continuing to see these crimes take place: kidnapping, sexual exploitation, rape, violence. I mean, feeling like I'm dedicating my life to something that's not having an impact, or that's not making a difference. But then I go out and I have people approach me in Costco or the grocery store or Target or wherever I go, and I mean, they talk to me and they share with me their experiences, and they talk about how things that I have done have impacted them for good, and that makes me feel like it's worthwhile and needs to continue.
Do you harbor any hate or anger inside you at any point? Like maybe a late night, you're just up, and do you have these thoughts, or do you always turn it into a positive somehow?
I'm human. I am human. As far as my captors go, that's not something that I feel these days. I mean, if they were out in my front yard or coming up to my house or interacting with my children, yes, absolutely. I'd be like, I'm sorry, but where is the nearest shotgun?
Yeah.
Right.
There we go.
That's honest, and that is
Yes.
1000% real.
For sure.
And I just want to follow up that you completely are impacting people.
Yes.
You know it. You're evoking change. It's such an honor to speak to you. DBL Nation, be sure to tune into Lifetime on February 11th and watch The Girl Who Escaped, the Kara Robinson story. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.